and welcome to the Consciousness Chronicles with Millie and Linda, episode number 2. Yay, we made it. Consciousness Chronicles is just regular women sharing wisdom, wit, and a glass of wine. Not today, too early for wine,
Water.
But one of these days. So many of us are shifting and awakening all at different places in our journey right now. And our mission is to expand awareness through our personal stories and show that being human is just as important as living your life from a conscious space of love. And that's why we're here.
I love that.
I do too. And every week we have the magic subject jar with
Can't wait to see what comes up now.
all of our little subjects in here. So we'll see what we will be chatting about today. And we get how your awakening unfolded. There's a lot to be learned in that.
Oh.
And continues to unfold every freaking day, right?
You need to start this one. How did yours happen?
Well, if I had to pick one time period, it would be my cancer journey. That's what really kicked it into high gear for me. I knew that the life I was leading was not the life I should be leading. I knew all the toxic aspects of it needed to be removed. That's why I believe my cancer manifested, because all the toxicity finally had no place to go. I had done no shadow work, so I was holding on to trauma from this lifetime and who knows how many other lifetimes. And that's when I knew things needed to shift. I started a blog during that journey, which has since become my book, because I've added to it because it's been a decade since all of this transpired. And I called it Finding Zen with Cancer, because that was my goal, was to find my place of Zen, find my peacefulness in all this freaking craziness that was scaring the shit out of me. So that's where it all started to unravel. And you know what? When you start down the road, and I'm sorry to point, but when you start down that road, you can't go back. The universe won't let you. I got to a point where I was released from my job on good financial terms and thought I would go back into the same industry. Saw a job where I knew one of the directors. I knew I could get in there. I made it through this whole interview process. Everybody loved me. And I got to the 11th hour and they called me and they said, "Linda, we're sorry. Somebody from the competition who did this exact same job has applied. And we have to go with them." Because it made sense business-wise. And I'm going, oh, wow. That was the universe slapping me upside the head going, what are you thinking, child? Get out of that business. You do not belong there. Yada, 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 yada. Meanwhile, for like a tenth of the amount of the money I was making, I saw an apprentice photographer job over in Tampa. And I looked at it and my inner knowing was screaming, you're going to get that. You can have it if you want it. It's there for you to take. And I was just like, oh, shit. Because I was leaving 6 figures to go and make, I don't know, $10,000 for the year. And fortunately, I had a partner who was willing to financially support me through that whole transition. So, yeah, I got the job like that, like within, 48 hours, I was there. And I knew it. And even when you play with trying to go back to where you should not be, you'll get kicked. Your feet will come out from under you and they'll be like, no, 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 don't go there.
Well, you have to trust. Part of the awakening is really trusting what you cannot see. is taking that next step and not knowing where you're going. That's where faith and trust really plays. And I think that I can't imagine anyone in this world not having had mile markers along the way where they can see, oh, that I could have taken a right, I could have taken a left, I could have kept on going. And a lot of times it's not, even if you don't believe in anything, an atheist will say that meant nothing, but the reality is it brought you from here to there.
Yep.
They are spiritual awakenings. I mean, even if you don't call them spiritual awakenings, they're awakenings because your life has just been turned upside down. And yours, you had to go through that to become the person that you are today. Because
Yeah.
had you stayed in that job, you wouldn't be the person you are today. I mean, spiritually connected, you're incredibly gifted. And by the way, your book is amazing. And so it's you had to go through that, you know.
And the trust is so freaking
Whew.
huge. Huge. When I saw that, I mean, I fortunately was at a point where I just kind of laughed when I didn't get the job. I'm like, oh, I see what you're doing, you know. And then knowing I could get the other one was just like, yeah, I just trusting that guidance and then following the magical breadcrumbs along the way.
I always tell people God is not going to take you all the way through cancer and all that, and then say, "Hey, Linda, nanny, nanny, boo boo, stick your head in doo doo," and say, "You're screwed. I'm not going to show you anything else. Bye." You know, it
Yeah,
doesn't work
yeah.
that way.
We're done with you.
We're done.
Move
All right,
along.
lesson learned. Bye. Handle it on your own. I mean, we're always being taken to the next level. If you think of our lives as a game, you know, once you pass that level, the next level is going to be harder. And the higher you go in consciousness, the more difficult the tasks become and the lessons become. But that's part of the human evolution. I mean, I can't imagine not, I mean, I don't want to do it all the time. I'm tired of doing it, but I'm aware that, you know, we get the choice to awaken to something higher than ourselves, than this 3D world, you know, the three dimension that we are being told and taken and said, hey, you got to do it this way. And, you know, I can't imagine any other way.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty magical when you just surrender to it.
And it's hard.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's not.
It's not for
They're
sissies.
talking like, yeah, you just surrender to it, no big deal. But no,
No.
you cry, you have tears, you have anxiety, you have fear, all these things, and but it's the journey's still beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And it brings you exactly to where you need to be for your next one. You know, I've had four, maybe recently, 5 near-death experiences. I get taken to that point where I see myself out of my body and no, you know, and then I'm realized that I can make my life a lot easier if I didn't resist so much. Because as soon as I get to the point of having to learn something, I, being stubborn Aries, want to do it my way. And it would, I mean, I'm learning at 55 not to take myself all the way to that point where I need to get hit in the back of the head or die in a hospital or have a, you know, heart attack on my bed. I'm aware that, but because I'm so stubborn, I think there's an easier way to doing something than going through it. When I stop resisting, when I flow, things always turn out great. It's when I start to try and control the circumstances, the obstacles, the events, that the universe says, oh, mamacita, we're going to do it this way. Okay, we're going to sit back and watch. I was just telling a friend the other day that I think my spirit guide is in some bar in the middle of
You were
in the
telling
middle of
me
the
that.
in the middle of the Akashic records, drinking and waiting to see, will they give him another job? Could they give him another job? And he's sitting around with other spirit guides and they're comparing, and I know they're laughing about me. They're comparing, you don't have what I have down there. Imagine she just doesn't want to do anything that she's supposed to do. I need another job. You know, I could hear the laughter up there, you know, because I really shut down. I think my biggest awakening came in January 15th of 2014. I had just come back from meeting my granddaughter, my first grandchild. Um, she is a daughter of an adopted daughter that I had adopted from Romania when she was 9, and she has some serious issues. And seeing how she was living in Florida, I was living up here in North Carolina. I recognized that I would probably end up with this baby. And having raised 6 kids and the last one about to leave home to go, to graduate from high school, the stress of it all came to me like boom. And a few days later, I ended up flatlining the
Oh,
stress. And I remember the neurologist had worked with a lot of veterans. And she said to me, I have seen men shut down and comatose and never awaken again because of the stress. You can't, and the words she used were, you can't, you don't know what you don't know until you do. And I'll never forget that, because once you do know, you do better. Once you are aware of it, you evolve. And it was that near death experience was massive for me. It took me it took me months to be able to fit my soul in my body when I would wake up in the morning. It's
mm.
like I resisted even that. Like it was like an outfit that no longer fit my soul to have. And I had all these weird things. I already like had, I could speak to the deceased. I've always been pretty gifted, but this thing took me to a whole level that I wasn't even aware of. And I really, honest to God, think it was the hardest awakening that I had, even from when I was 33 and got hit in the back of the head and didn't recognize my children or my husband. And I had amnesia. That one was powerful in many ways, but this one was on a very different spiritual level. And I look back now and I think, wow, the most incredible lesson on my strength and persistence and resilience. And I hate using that word resilience, but it was powerful because for the first time in my life, I couldn't avoid my gifts anymore. I had suppressed them for so long. I didn't want to see spirits. I didn't want to talk to people about woo stuff. I just wanted to go along with my meditation every morning and you do you, boo. I don't want to have to I didn't want to have to deal with anybody and their stuff, because I had a motel retreat center at the time, and every time somebody would walk through the front doors, I was bombarded by all this energy. When they left and I had to clean their rooms, there were times that the energy was so dense that I would just like vomit, in the bathroom and then walk out and have to have somebody sage for me. I was so highly sensitive. But Linda, what I learned through all that was that we are never given anything more than we can handle. And I know that some people can say, well, I can't handle one more thing. Well, be careful when you say that, because you know what? You're testing, you're testing somebody up there or something to say, really, let me just show you how far you can go.
Mm.
We are expandable. We are never just so rigid that we cannot expand in lessons and anything in our lives. We expand as we grow. So when we have these awakening, as small as they can be, you could just have a Kundalini awakening while doing yoga, or, an orgasmic experience when you least expect it because you're praying, or something that, or even a near-death experience. I mean, it could be anything.
And
I
all
feel,
of it. Because
and
that's
all
what
of
I
it.
love, that what you have had multiples. I mean, you came
Mhm.
into this world lit up and suppressed it
Mhm.
purposefully.
Yeah. I came in with one foot in and one foot out. I remember when I was I had I had a regression, and I was in my mother's body, and I could hear her, and I mean I was I was ready to be born. And I remember thinking, if they did not have her have an emergency C-section, I would have definitely have died. I was like, I came in because I needed to come in, but I came in kicking and screaming. And my first surgery was when I was 9 months old. I mean, I had a hernia that then turned out that I had all these impossible little cysts all over ovaries, and they had to do multiple, operations. At, a year later, they had to take my tonsils, and they didn't know what else was attached to that had issues. I
Mm.
had cardiac problems. I mean, like, I was a hot mess. It was a hot mess. So and to no avail, I always said, okay, all right, we're done with this, on to the next one. Because I never sat down and went, woe is me, I can't do this. They told me I won't have children. I had some, and then I adopted more. They told me I couldn't run or do any kind of extraneous exercises. I ran cross country in high school. I danced. I, played tennis. I swam. I defined everyone's odds of what I could and could not do. And I'm here I am. And I really think that they just don't want me wherever that place.
Well, you just have a long list. You signed up for, oh, well, I'll check all the boxes, not just
But
a few
each
of them.
one, but each one has been an awakening. And you know what? The other day I had an awakening. And it wasn't like I wasn't meditating. It wasn't a near death experience. I was just walking. And in the middle of my walk, I felt a massive shift. And in that shift, I was like, oh, okay. I felt I felt my consciousness just cradle this new person that I had just become. Now, did it last very long? Probably not. But I was aware at that moment, and I hadn't taken anything. I mean, it was morning at 6 o'clock in the morning. It wasn't like, but I became very aware. And I think it happens to us in very small increments sometimes. It could happen in what we call aha moments, when we're like an epiphany. That's an awakening. That's not, it doesn't have to be so drastic. It could be just, a glass
Yes.
of wine with a friend, or sitting here, you and I, chasing orbs. I mean, how many hours did we chase orbs while you were here visiting?
I think the whole damn weekend, pretty
I
much.
mean, yeah. And even being outside at 4 o'clock in the morning in the cold, looking up at the stars, just looking at the stars, because we're out in the country. And you and I sat out there for like an hour, and just in awe. And those were an awakening, a huge awakening for both of us.
Yeah, we're really in a constant state of awakening. And, maybe there's a better word for it, like I don't know. You said timeline shift earlier before we got on here,
Mm-hmm.
that's definitely could be happening,
Absolutely.
but yeah,
That might
it's
have to be another
constant.
episode, because the
Yeah.
timeline shifts are powerful, and I think people
Yeah.
don't
And
even realize that they're jumping.
I will put that in our little,
Yeah, please. They're
sure.
jumping, quantum fields. They're actually jumping from here to there and shifting their awareness. And I think that's part also, once you do awaken to knowing that nothing is impossible, that everything you create and manifest the life you desire,
Oh yeah.
you start a tremendous awakening every day. You start to shift that. You could either choose to stay in, mediocre, I'm going to follow this masses, what they tell me or whatever, or you can choose to create your reality. And it doesn't happen overnight, but if you put your mind to that awakening, to that awareness, wow, your life can change drastically. You can heal from cancer. You can heal from anything. I mean, that's why we are so powerful. That's why Dr. Joe Dispenza has become such a huge, advocate for self-healing, because he's not just a physician, but he's also seeing what the mind can do to overcome illnesses. And it's not just illnesses. We are able to heal every part of ourselves.
And awakening sounds like such a huge, giant, daunting thing. Like it's supposed to
Mhm.
be some big fanfare. And like you said, it could be the little things every day. And it feels like if you were to look at the population now, doesn't it seem like so many more people are awakening like exponentially since 2020? It seems huge because the amount of information that you can find online now has just exploded.
I think I feel, and I'm not going to touch upon that thing, but I feel that what happened in 2020, when they put us, in timeout, gave a lot of people a lot of time to think.
Yes, absolutely.
And it actually backfired in many ways, because it awakened the masses. oh, well, now I have time to really work on myself. The sites on spirituality were like off the charts. TikTok I mean, I'm not much on TikTok, but Instagram or TikTok or all these platforms, social media, their hashtags on spirituality are billions of people. Like, that wasn't like that 3 years ago or before 3 years ago. You know, I am so grateful to be living during these times that are nothing like any other time before in history.
It's exciting. It's definitely exciting. And I think it's really got the powers that be shook up. That 1% who wants to suppress and deny, and you will have nothing and be happy
Mm-hmm.
people, because where I know it's taking a stronghold is when and I don't watch a lot of TV, but my husband likes to, so I'll spend time with him. And when I see it in shows and movies where they're making fun of the person saging or the person with their crystals, or,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
talking about yoga, and I'm just like, oh, you're mocking it, trying to program us to believe this is a bad thing because you're scared shitless.
That's exactly it.
I think they are scared shitless right now.
Yeah. Can you imagine a society that's been repressed and suppressed forever, all of a sudden waking up and saying, no, 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 no. I mean, it's happening in masses. Don't get me wrong. I find that the United States is definitely waking up in a way that other countries are still very suppressed. Like Latin America is not as woke as we are here. It's a different type of spirituality. I mean, I grew up, with a different religion and such, but I do know that in the United States, yeah, there's a massive amount of conscious shift happening, and it's happening in masses. It's not happening because you watch the shows. The other day I decided to watch a show from 1984, John Carpenter's movie called They Live. Have you ever seen this movie?
Yes. Yes. I think when
It's
you
the
start,
guy who puts the glasses
yes,
on.
yes. Greg
Okay.
made me watch that. He
Okay.
saw that back in 84 and
I
he's
saw
like,
it
you
in
need to like
84.
this.
I saw it in 84, and something I read somewhere and I was like, what is that movie with the guy that puts on the glasses and sees obey and follow and all that? And so I found it on Tubi for free like last week. Oh my God, there's a scene in the movie that's the epitome of what happens to us. So, not to ruin the whole movie for anybody who hasn't seen it,
But go
but
watch it.
go watch it. The guy that comes across these glasses that shows you how the real humanity is and who's here and what they show on, like ads and billboards. He wants his friend to see it and wants him to wear the glasses. And they get into like, it's supposed to, my son, who's a cinematographer, said that was the longest for years, the longest fighting scene in a movie. It was 13 minutes long. I didn't know this, but he works in movies, so he knew this.
Yeah.
It was the metaphor of what happens when somebody awakens and then wants to bring another person near them in an awakening process. It happens. I never had that. I was like, dude, you wake up on your own. I am not your mama. You can wake up whenever you feel like it. But I do know that a lot of people, when they see truth and they want to wake everybody up, and then they're angry because
I did.
nobody's listening. You did that? I have a lot of friends that did that. I did, and I was like, dude, you don't care.
You've been doing it so long.
I didn't care. Like, you go ahead. Well, the movie depicts that part of fighting with somebody, trying to knock him down so he can put the glasses on so he can see who's walking around them. And I was like, I stopped and it was like, this is what happens when somebody wakes up and then desperately wants others to see what they see. You can't, it's like that Chinese saying, you could take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You can't shake somebody out of it. You can show people proof all you want, and they'll still find something wrong with it.
Yeah.
Because there is no more truth in society. You can find every aspect on it on social media to support your belief system.
Absolutely.
So that scene was so intense. Like I rewound, I put it back, and I was like, oh my God, this is exactly what happens to people. They get so caught up in wanting others to see the truth that they forget that they've already leveled up and they can't bring somebody who's on a lower level. So it was like, yeah, that movie's so powerful. The whole time I'm sitting there going, wow, how did I mean 84? In 84, I was 14 years old. I don't remember that movie being like, I probably saw it sometime in the 90s, but I don't, yeah.
Which brings me to, what is the best thing to do once you awaken? What advice would you give somebody?
What do you do?
Well, no, I mean, to me, it's just like, just be yourself. If you feel like I do the Oracle card readings every day on social media. And I'm like, I've been nudged to do many things and I've just learned to listen. So if spirit guides me to do something, I'll go and do it. And I had to get to the point where it's just like, I don't care if people think this is stupid. I don't care if people believe it or not. I don't care if people look at me and think I'm a weirdo now. Because I'm just gonna be me and everybody will come along at their own pace.
You're my favorite kind of weirdo.
I I like being a weirdo. The word weird, if you look into the actual meaning behind it, is actually very good meaning. I think I learned that from Sadie Whip. And she spells it, it's spelled a little different too, but it's the same thing.
Love that. I say bring your weird on as much as you can. Because I feel that when you do stand outside of the norm, there's something about living authentic to your truth that people go, I can relate to this. I want more of that. And whatever that is. And part of the awakening is actually just stepping into your truth. So when somebody is like, they'll share something with me, I'm like, damn, you're waking up. Yeah. I don't say that to them, but I'm like, yeah, yes, keep going, do it. Let's go. Keep going. Don't stop now. Because everybody gets it differently. I mean, it's like people who get into organized religion. I mean, they're getting something. Everyone is looking to believe in something other than themselves. That's why they go into religion or they go into spiritual practice. They want to feel connected to something that's outside of themselves. And when you start that awakening process, a spiritual awakening, and you start connecting to something higher than yourself, call it God, the mysteries, call it angels, whatever you want to call it, however that makes you feel. It doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. It's like so beautiful.
Mm, mm.
Taking it to the next level of awareness and awakening.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, my dear, for being here
Thank
with
you.
me and everybody for being here with us. We appreciate you. And next time I'm going to have a glass of wine.
Yeah, me too. I love you.
I love
Everyone.
everyone. Bye-bye.